this time and my first speech in English. Today I want to invite you today in that session, and all, if you want, to be present in your body, to feel with your heart, and to invite your soul to be with you. Come at me.
Is this on? Okay. So my name is Chanel Armelli. Excuse the voice. And I'm so happy to be here today. And I've made such a beautiful connection with Joanna and her tribe, that it makes being here today that much more special. So thank you, all of you. This is a really special topic, because I think that the power of emotions in general, I know the topic is happiness in body and soul, but I think there's something very important that we must all remember, is that emotions are very powerful, and they really affect the way we live our life more than most people know. And so I want you, beyond happiness in body and soul, I want you to expand into an understanding about how impactful our emotions are to our physical health, our well-being, not just our emotional state, but our physical state. But also, people talk about law of attraction. Emotions are just vibrations. And so, I'd like to I do this all the time. I tell people there's this new age spirituality that's taken hold. And in this new age spirituality, it's all about positivity. Everything should be a positive emotion. We should just be positive. And I think that's like saying, I want to plant my flowers in a bed of weeds. Would we do that? If somebody offered you a piece of land that you would build a beautiful garden in, but it was full of weeds, would we not tend to that garden by peeling away some of those weeds so that they don't compete with the flowers or the seeds of the flowers that we're trying to grow? Now because we're human, there's really no such thing that it's all cleaned up and then all positive. There's a huge spectrum. But what I want to do is really invite all of you to just open up today to the possibility of reclaiming your humanness and reclaiming that opportunity to be okay with all of our emotions. I'd like to start just with a couple little stories. We have all been, ever since we were born, there was a style of communication that we were born into, whether it's your own child or your own infancy. Communication of a baby is all through emotion. And then what happens? We start growing up and we forget about our feelings. Or we don't really let the real feelings show. When a baby is hungry, they'll cry. When a baby is happy, content, they're smiling and giggling. It's our natural, innate essence to live present to our emotions and our feelings. Then what happens is we are programmed by, the people we live with, our parents, society, and some of those programs then become the way of life until we wake up and we realize that there's more to being present to what we're really feeling. In a couple examples, when we when we're in the state of happiness, joy, we feel very light. When we're depressed, sad, unhappy, the body responds differently. You know, we don't feel like getting up off the couch. So I just wanted to invite all of you for just a moment to remember that your body does show you what's going on. So if you'll take a moment to just close your eyes. And we're not going to stay here long. But just take a moment to think of something that makes you angry, frustrated. A situation, another human being. And pay attention to how that anger or frustration feels like in your body. And there's nothing wrong to go here. And if you were to now bring into your awareness something that makes you happy, an ice cream cone, a loved one, the work of service that you do, and you begin to feel that joy or that happiness, see that your body responds differently. And just open your eyes. And if anyone actually could feel the difference, I'd love for you to share. Could you tell that your body felt different when you started to think about anger and frustration versus when you thought of something that made you feel good? So then, of course, people will say you should just be happy. You know, that's that New Age spirituality, just be happy. But sometimes life comes in the way and things make us angry and frustrated. But if we take the time to process those emotions, to be with them, we heal. When we neglect them, we stuff them. Emotions are really just energy in motion. And if we could remember that an emotion is just energy in motion, what that means is we allow that energy to move through us. We feel it, we be with it, and I think Joanna's going to spend more time on that whole experiential process for us. But we allow ourselves to move through it. And when we move through it, it's no longer embedded within us. I don't know if any of you have ever heard this statement, our issues are in our tissues. Yeah. Because emotions are energy, and energy has to be somewhere, and if it's ours, it's in our field of energy. And so it becomes very important for us to not neglect these and not stuff them away. And that would, there's a spectrum of emotions, whole spectrum. Everything from, shame and apathy to fear and guilt, all the ones that none of us really like to touch. And then there's these pleasant emotions, even acceptance, neutrality, happiness, joy, love, peace on the other end of the spectrum. We have all of these. But what happens, you see, remember we were talking about when a baby is born, their mode of expression, our true essence of expression comes from our emotions, our feelings. In fact, that is the only thing that really stands out between us as humans and anything else in the universe, especially you look at machines. Machines can think, machines can analyze, machines can do practically everything. But there's that one part of us that is so unique, and it's our ability to feel. And to feel everything. So when we're babies and we're feeling just very organically, naturally, we feel, and we lose this connection until we sometimes have issues, and I will share a little bit of my own story, but we then have issues that show up in our lives. But where do these programs come from? And I want to give you two really simple examples. Both of these were clients of mine who were faced with some challenges, physical but also other issues. And when we traveled back to see where this was rooted, you'd be surprised. But it's so real. And these children, this one client that I was working with, a gentleman, when we went back in time, we found him maybe about 4 or 5 years old, and he was so happy, coming home from school, kindergarten, jumping up and down, ecstatic about his day. And he walked into the house, ready to tell Mom everything. And Mom, yes, who loves her son, was very busy trying to get all the schedules for the day in place. Maybe she just came home from work and wants to get him to soccer practice, all the to-dos that we all have to do. And so he's so happy, and she says, "Sweetheart, not now, not now. We got to get to soccer practice, And we've all done this. If we've all had children, whoever's had children probably could just fess up and say, I probably have been guilty of that myself. But, life is an evolution and a process of just being present and accepting of our own mistakes. But this little boy was kind of shut down. And at that age, they don't have the intellectual ability to understand that Mommy just came back from work. She's trying to get me to soccer practice. He didn't know any of it. He didn't care. What he learned is that life is more about being logical, methodical, and being happy actually created a slight bit of punishment or repression for him. This same man was dealing with issues of his heart, his chest, and never really learned until he was having challenges that it was safe to be happy again. He learned that it was safe to be frustrated, that it was safe to be logical. So he learned that this side, which is kind of those emotions we were talking about, maybe of guilt or frustration or anger, that those were safe, because that's what Mom had modeled. Not because she was a bad woman, but because she was trying to do everything for her son to make his life better, but shut his emotions down, and so it became a program. And then he ends up in life afraid to touch those soft, sweet emotions and afraid to emote happiness. When he could see this, he just thought, well, I'm a man, and I guess that's what men do, and everybody says men are not emotionally present. And that's not really true. In his case, he was very emotionally present to these emotions. He just wasn't safe to go to those softer emotions or happy emotions. He did beautifully when he could just see with truth. It wasn't his mom's fault. He's not a male that doesn't know how to express himself. He was a male that was taught to stifle some of this so that we could get everything done in the day. On the flip side of that, there was a woman I was working with, and the story is very similar to mine, but she could not show an emotion in the world of anger, frustration, hate. She just couldn't. So this little girl, when we went back and we were finding where the root, she was having a lot of inflammatory issues in her body. And, inflammatory issues typically are related to inflammatory emotions. And inflammatory emotions are like anger, frustration, hate. They're hot. They're inflammatory. It's not bad to have them within ourselves and to be able to be with them and to let them move through, but it isn't healthy when they're stuffed inside. Because remember, our issues are then put into our tissues. So this little girl, when we traveled back in time for her, remembered we came up to this moment where she was very little, like she had forgotten this episode, but I said something happened around age 3, and there was a trauma, and we were looking at it, and the trauma wasn't huge. But for her, in that moment, it was huge. She was playing at a play date with Mom, and all the moms were there at the play date, and all the little girls were playing, and the kids were playing. And she was holding her favorite little toy, and some kid came and took it. And in taking that toy, she got upset. It was hers. And she got upset, and her mom became embarrassed in front of her friends. Happens to all of us, that this child, oh my God, my daughter is acting out, I'm so sorry. She shouldn't have snapped. And so she ended up learning, because her mom came to talk to her, and she said, sweetheart, nice girls don't do this. And so she never wanted to disappoint Mom, but that was her lifeline. Children's lifeline is mother most often at home. And she learned over the years that it was not safe to have any emotion outside of the nice ones. It's detrimental, ladies and gentlemen, for us to not really feel the spectrum of our humanness. And that's what happened and I don't want to get into the science of all of this, yet there is such a strong science that backs emotions. They do blood studies, and almost instantaneously, if you're experiencing an emotion of anger versus joy, the blood chemistry is starkly different. It's if you're in anger, you're in guilt, you're in blame, you're in fear, the blood chemistry is so different. Imagine how many times during our lifetime alone we're too busy, too scared, it's not worth it, I don't want to be too emotional, that we don't pay attention. And it truly does affect our physiology. What I would like to really drive home to all of us, for all of you, is to befriend your emotions and to be safe knowing that all of them are worthy of attention, not just the good ones. And not only does it affect our physical body, but we also know that we're energetic beings, and emotions are all vibrations. And so if our emotions are vibrations, and we live in a resonant field, what we really are doing is creating a pushback. So we want great things to come into our life, but we're stuck holding on to a lot of anger, rage, hate, frustration of our past. And we're trying so hard to create success, whether it's in our business, in our love relationships, in life in general, in our health. We're so much wanting to make everything better in our life, and we wonder why it's such a struggle. And I really invite all of you to start recognizing that it is time. It's time to be present to not just how we feel in this moment, but to much of our past where things have been stuffed. And in my case, I could share just a few moments of my background or my story. I had a pretty perfect life, or so I thought. I was born in India, raised in the U.S. Again, had a really great life. Been married now for 25 years to the same man. He's amazing. Had 2 beautiful children. Was working in corporate America, very successful, doing all these great things. And about 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. How could that be? I was so thin. I exercised regularly. I was vegetarian. Heck, I was the last person on earth that anybody would think could be sick. But I was that girl that was so afraid of not being loved that I would do anything to put a smile on my face and keep everything else inside. Part of my healing journey has been about touching those emotions and recognizing that I am a nice girl. Even if I'm angry, I'm human. And I think that it's more powerful in the healing, and I'm going to push the envelope. We blame food. We blame the toxins in the world. We even blame the pollen for our challenges. And ladies and gentlemen, pollen, people complain about allergies. Pollen is nature's way to bring more life on earth. How could it be the cause of our problems? We must stop blaming everything outside of us and start owning that what we have created in toxicity is actually in here. Now, I'm not going to tell you to go eat candy bars every day, but it's far less toxic, guaranteed, than the toxic emotions that have been stuffed inside. Guaranteed, because you see, in the recurrences that I had over the years, I was on the cleanest diet that you could be on. I was, no gluten, no dairy, no sugar, no coffee, basically no joy, let's just be honest. And then I wanted to heal, and I was like, why is this not working? Oh, okay, maybe I should do more green juices, and maybe I should go vegan, and I should go raw, and I did all of that. Like I did everything I thought I could do. And I'll tell you that I know that I'm here right now. It was about 5.5 years. They said, maybe you have 2 weeks. I know I'm here because I finally owned my power. I finally said that this is all in here. And I'm going to stop looking outside. And I'm going to start paying attention. And emotions are so powerful. So powerful. And though the talk is on happiness in body and soul, to get to happiness in body and soul, ladies and gentlemen, please pay attention to your weeds so that you really can have happiness in your body and soul. Yes? I think I'm getting the cue that my time is up, and I love to talk. So that's probably why my voice is like this, because I probably could talk for hours and hours. Are we good on time? Yes? Perfect. Okay, well, I would love to turn the stage over to Joanna, who is just, again, a beautiful soul. Thank you.
Well, today I want to share my story, my journey with my body and my soul. In a simple way, because I'm simple. It's a beautiful story to be completely integrated with my mind, my body, my emotions, and my souls. I am an holistic therapist, and I always work using massage and food reflexology. And the more I get into that, the more I want to learn the language of the body. A few years ago, I decided to rediscover myself, and I start to breathe consciously. And with that, I transformed everything in my life. My body allowed me, through conscious breathing, to be in touch with my soul. And in that way, I become aware of my body as a sacred temple, which need to be loved and carried. I also learned to invite my soul to show me the way to do this by feeling the sensations and listening to what it was telling me. I learned moment to moment with my body and my soul what it was to feel. Why pain manifesting in the body. And little by little, I learned that the body is trying to talk to me. And I can release that pain by staying in presence of that unconditional love where judgment does not exist, and I can release the pain with my soul. At first it was not so easy for me to feel because my mind will constantly interfere, not knowing what sounds it is and not knowing this new language of the soul. And with the breathing I learned to silence my mind. And after a while I invite my mind to collaborate with me and my soul and do things in a different way by listening to the voice of my heart. The more I get into my soul, the more my body becomes free of tension. In a different way, my soul had a completely different and new way to experience life in the physical body, where it had been all along, but in silence, never interfering with the human until it had permission to do it. The soul experiences moment to moment what it is to live like in a body, playing with everything, accepting everything with joy. And it is compassionate. It does not interfere, but it helps when it is invited to do that. The fusion with my soul and my body has brought me softness, love, beauty, happiness, joy, and many other things. I have learned to feel everything in my body with my soul, and what it's like to live in a happy and conscious body. Thank you for listening. To be, yes, to breathing, to meditation. Thank you. Okay. You got it. Okay. You got it. Close your eyes. You can put your hands in your belly. And you can breathe. Inhale. And exhale. Into your belly. Just to feel your body. And there, you can release everything. You can stay there. Expand your belly with your breathing and relax. When you are there, you can accept yourself moment to moment. You can feel the love of yourself. You are a divine human being, just separate in that place. Just study
enhance us. It can liberate us. So when we acknowledge and we are able to sit and realize that it cannot kill us, that it cannot do anything to us, actually, once we accept it, and it comes back home, then light and dark become one only thing, which is not light or dark, it's something else. And there resides happiness in body and soul. And happiness is not a permanent state, and it can never be, because in human life there are challenges. Rather, contentment can be a permanent state. It is a state of complete acceptance, in which we are never in conflict with what is before us. And then we start receiving such amazing gifts of love, beauty, harmony, joy, because we are in it, because we are accepting the beautiful flow of isness. Then we become divine humans living an ordinary life in a very extraordinary way.
Absolutely. Well said. Well
So
said.
beautifully.
Beautifully said. And I would love to just share something else, if that's okay. Because we have a little time. And obviously open to questions. You know, emotions don't just happen. And so part of what I work with people on when we're really trying to get some breakthroughs is to understand what drives that emotion. And so, you know, first, like I have about 4 steps. You know, I have a PowerPoint, and I decided I wasn't going to do all of that. And we're going to keep it simple and from the heart. But, you know, the first step is awareness. Just becoming aware that we're feeling something. And we may not know what that is just yet. But if we sit with it and we ask sometimes, what is this thing in here? Become aware, and then we begin to own it. Like, oh, I'm really angry. I got treated this way. Why? But I want to go further, because I believe also that there's a very strong power in our thoughts. And our thoughts have a very big play in what's happening in our life as well. Because a child doesn't just cry. There's something in them that's triggering this. So always when I'm working with someone on emotion, we have to understand what's driving it. What in me is driving anger? Because if I understand what's driving the emotion, I now become powerful in understanding how I can break this pattern. Otherwise, I don't. And so I always ask, and I would invite you to do the same. If you are feeling an emotion that doesn't feel great, fear, anger, guilt, ask, what in me is driving this? What is this experience teaching me? So that we don't just have an emotion and we sit with it and we process it, and that's beautiful. But to understand who we really are at a deeper level is to then ask that, why? What is this about? And I'll give you an example. You know, if in order to remain in our power, when I was angry and I never let anybody really know it, it could have been something as simple as, gosh, I felt like I had a really busy day and now everybody's left the kitchen and I'm stuck with these dishes. And then you think, well, oh gosh, just you shouldn't be angry. You know what? Just let it go. All right. But if I dug a little bit deeper, which is what I'm going to invite all of you to begin doing, if you dig a little deeper, you'll realize that I'm angry because I'm not asking for help. Well, people aren't giving me help. Well, am I asking for help? And then I learn more about myself, because ultimately, I'd like to break the cycle of how angry I was getting and how much repressed emotion I was building up. And the more I understood that what drove the anger was that I wasn't asking for help. Why am I not asking for help? Oh, because I have spent my life wanting to be perfect. I wanted to be the super mom, the best wife. I wanted the world to see me as good. Oh, why do I have to make the world see me as so good? Because I couldn't see myself that way. I was looking for my self-worth through hiding behind a fake smile. And what else might have been? Well, gosh, I was so desperate to be loved and accepted. So was I just an angry person? And if I just spent my time there, and I did process it, I would make headway. But when I dug deeper to find out what was driving the anger, it was my unwillingness to put myself on the line and not be loved or not be seen as perfect. And as I started to become more human, and I could say, Mommy's really tired, and I need some help. Or, can you guys take care of that? Because that to me would have been a failure mother. So part of our happiness in our body and soul is to also understand what drives these emotions. They don't just show up. And so become more inquisitive with yourself about why you're feeling certain. Why am I so afraid? Well, after I was just sharing this fear. Why am I so afraid after I lost my last parent? What is this fear that's driving me? And it was the fear of being alone. I was so afraid of being alone. So then I had to start doing some deep work about recognizing that I'm not alone. But if I just paid attention to the fear and not understanding really what was driving it, I don't think I would have healed this deeply. Does that make sense? Do you have any questions about any of that? I mean, it is really an interrogation of self. As we get to know ourselves better, we ask deeper questions. We really come down to the root. But then again, kind of like Joanne was saying, ultimately, total acceptance is where we're going. Acceptance that I'm not perfect. But if I understood that that's what was driving me, it became easier for me to go to that place and accept myself. Because I was fighting against this, I have to be a perfect child in all my life, or a perfect human being. Any questions? No? All right. Well, thank you all for being here. Go ahead.